Greetings, Battle Brothers. It's me, Aurelia Tempris, Defender of the Golden Throne and Servant of Humanity. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. We're going to have a very chill... Yeah, it's going to be a very chill night. Very chill. We're going to relax. It's a Friday. The work week is done. We're all tired. And we're just going to chill. I missed you guys. I'm so sorry about yesterday. I'm gonna wait a few minutes before I kind of explain, but everything is fine. Everything's fine, so don't stress. I hope you guys didn't worry too much. I saw a couple of you in the Discord wondering what was going on. I will explain it. It's all gonna be good. I should actually, I'm gonna rename this. I'm gonna rename this movie night, at least on Twitch. I want the vibes to be immaculate here. I want us to chill, have a good time. I'm your favorite Custodes? Great, that's awesome, because if it was one of my brothers, I'd hardcore be judging. I'd be judging just a little bit, but, well, actually, no, Kitten is acceptable. Kitten is acceptable. He's a reasonable dude. There we go. I should be able to see that channel now. There we go. And oh, Shadow, thank you so much for the bids. Thank you, dude. Thank you. This ain't your heretic radio. Let's see, what's actually a good, like, radio station name? Like, you know how they have, like, the 4 letters? Like, what's a good one for, like, the Custodes? KUST. I don't know what it is like for the... I don't know what the letter combination signifies. Yeah, we're in the middle of episode 37, for those of you who just hopped in. I don't know how any of it... Let's see, how... Ooh, that's in all caps. How do radio stations get their names? The radio stations... Oh, interesting. Well, this is the AI version. Let's open up Wikipedia. Okay. So, call signs in the United States are identifiers assigned to radio and television stations, which are issued by the Federal Communications Commission, and in the case of most government stations, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. Consist from 3 to 9 letters and digits, with their composition determined by a station's service category. By international agreement, all call signs starting with the letters K, N, and W, as well as AAA through ALZ, are reserved exclusively for use in the United States. Oh! So... We've got options. We've got options. That's interesting. I never looked into it before. That'll be for another time, for my own personal reading. No, it's between 3 and 7. 3 and 7. So we could probably get away with Custody with a K on the front. No, it starts with K, N, or W. So you could do K-U-S-T-O-D-E. You could get away with that one, because that's 7 letters. But that's a long one. Well, that's good to know. You learned a thing here. HTB, Holy Terra Blessings. Yeah, if, I wonder what the other deck... Oh, no. We're gonna start down a rabbit hole we don't want to go down. Because now I'm like, oh, what are other countries' special designations? Like, what do the other countries get? And why K, W, and N? Like, now I'm very curious. I also hope you guys don't mind. I'm gonna munch a little bit. But I'll explain now since we've kind of gotten a few minutes into stream. Regarding yesterday, everything is fine. The best way I can put it is, so no one was hurt, like I said. Extra context, sorry. I had to leave abruptly in the middle of a collab, which I feel very bad about. What happened was I had, it was an emergency. Essentially, in terms that is like the easiest to understand, I need to give approvals on things on occasion. And I was the only person available to provide an approval on something that was very important, that needed to be like signed off on in less than 2 hours, and required some additional work prior to that. So I had to step off and take care of that because I couldn't take care of it after stream. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you know, as a High Lord, you just can't get away from the paperwork. You can't get away from the paperwork. So that's what happened. So everything was fine. It was just, it was an emergency for other people, and technically, I was gonna get, would I get in trouble? I actually never thought about it. If I hadn't seen the calls, if I would get in trouble for not signing off on it. I don't think so. I don't think so. Hello, happy Friday, happy Friday. So much paperwork, yes. Redtail Wolf, did you get a new badge? Or did you rotate the badge? That badge looks new. I'm in charge of the Imperial Palace IT department. No, I could not do IT. I could not do IT. I can barely manage my own scuff, let alone someone else's scuff. I just wondered if Redtail Wolf had hit a new level, and I think that's the case. Because I was like, that's a different color than I've seen before. Just bad bureaucracy. Actually, it was an actual, like, emergency. Oh, Mammoth, thank you so much for the bits. I like those hearts. Those are really cute. I've never seen those before. Those are adorable. Oh. I wasn't gonna get into it, but after the fact, like, within, like, a couple hours of me solving the problem, and doing the sign-off I needed to do, how do I explain? The people I was talking with, they basically found a solution all on their own and actually didn't need to reach out and bother me. Yeah, so I was like later and I was like, so yeah, you didn't need to bother me for that. Mm-hmm. It's fine though. It's fine. It means I got to work less today. So it's fine. Yeah, no, it was a total bruh moment, honestly. It's rare that those happen. But, yeah. It's complicated. It wasn't just a pretty moment. It's more complicated than that. It's hard to explain without getting into details. I was a little... I won't lie. I was a bit frustrated. It did work out because while I couldn't do the stream, I was able to get chores done around. So... I was able to be productive while I was, like, talking to people and getting things taken care of. So I did get other things done. It was just very frustrating to start off with. So, yeah. Also, forgive me. I'm just going to be munching and crunching because we're doing movie night, and I was like, I want to eat before stream. Oi! Ozzy, I appreciate the first time chat, but I am not an Eldar streamer or Eldari. I am an abhuman. My ears are just unnaturally pointy. But thank you. I appreciate that you like my content. Yeah, I gotta get my snackies. I'm eating a salad. Eating a salad. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm doing great. I have my salad. I'm relaxed. I'm a little tired. I won't lie, I'm a little tired. But I'm content. And once we start like watching, I'll get like real relaxed and it'll be good. Very excited. I don't sound very excited. I'm just happy to relax. Medium rare steak with the salad. Oh, unfortunately, no. If I was having a medium rare steak, I wouldn't have it with the salad. I'd have it with like potatoes. Baked potatoes or mashed potatoes. Those are my potatoes of preference. Potatoes of preference. I like that. The salad is very good. Yeah, it's got chicken, onion, cucumber, some cheese, sun-dried tomato. Yes, my cookbook is steak and potatoes and Taco Bell. That is it. That's it. Oh, now I'm thinking about steak. We should not discuss the steak. I'm very content with my salad. It's a very good cookbook. There's also a recipe on how to make Baja Blast in there. Have I missed it yet? No, you haven't missed anything. I'm just yapping. I'm just yapping. I like to warm everyone up for about like 20-30 minutes before we get going. So, I'm just chilling. Oh. Okay, guys. You guys want to hear a dream I had? Do you guys want to hear my weird dream? It's part of a dream. I don't remember the whole dream, but I remember a small portion, and you will understand why. But do you want to hear like my weird dream? Aurelia has more psyker dreams? Have I talked to you guys more about my dreams before? Because my dreams don't necessarily predict anything like you guys think they do. You guys don't, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. At least as far as I'm aware. Who knows? Who knows? I would love this one to be indicative of something. You told us you dreamt about your coworker. Yeah, but that was like a weird dream. My coworker was in my dream. That's not the same thing as like, oh, it happened. The dream where the coworker was in it was like in a horror movie like type situation, and that was not a good situation. By the way, we were both going to be victims. My coworker was not. The guy. Okay, all right. Anyways, I digress. Here is the dream. Here's the dream. All right. I'm gonna throw you guys for like an absolute loop. So, like, please bear with me. Please bear with me on this, okay? It's gonna be very much like... What the heck, Aurelia? That is a weird thing to dream about. So, let me start off with... In this dream, for some reason, let me make this clear. I don't know why. I do not know why, but... For some reason, I was pregnant in this dream. I know, I'm like, bruh, excuse me. I was pregnant in this dream, and I was like, huh? But the good part about the dream was, it was like, I was like going into like labor, but then Sanguinius flew down from like the sky, and it was like, he was like, are you okay? And I was like, yes, I'm okay, my love. And he was like all decked out in like his armor, and I was like, dude, that's so cool. And then it looked like he was gonna go fight a battle. He's like, don't worry, I'm gonna go fight Kabanda and I'll be right back. And I was like, okay. And then he flew away, and that was like the only part of the dream I remembered. And I was like, what? Oh, yeah, no, it was so, I was like, what the heck? No, I told you, it was a weird dream. Sanguinius was in it. This is the first time I've ever had a dream with Sanguinius in it. It was so weird, man. I was like, what the heck? No, I'm done. That was it. What do you mean? You can leave. You just have to deal with that. That was very... I almost forgot about it, and then like I was like doing things and I was like getting ready, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I had that dream. That's insane. Yeah. No, it was a bit of a weird dream. I won't lie. It's the weirdest dream I've had, but the first dream I've ever had with Sanguinius in it. Wait, I didn't realize you guys would be so like visceral in your reaction to this. Maybe I shouldn't have told you. Is there scuff? Is there scuff? Am I scuffed? Shadow, thank you for the bits. Am I scuffed? Is there something going on? Now that I think about it, in 10 years of the hobby, I've never dreamed of Warhammer. Dude, let me tell you, I've had too many dreams about Dawn of War. Aurelia, think of the fans. That's a lot of ammo. What? How? Oh, no, it was because I was grabbing my drink, so my phone couldn't track me turning my head to go grab my, my drink. That sounds great for you. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You definitely know who the father is. Yeah, no, I was like, bro, what the heck? Yeah, there you go. That was the dream. Cursed. No, how is this Slaneshi taint? Look. I love Sanguinius, and my headcanon is that we're married and we are in a loving relationship. We're in a loving relationship. Frames are dropping. The what? The Wi-Fi. I'm looking at it now. That can't be good. I'm not seeing anything. Of course, when I'm watching it actively, it's not doing the thing. That's weird. It's popping up as unstable. Why? But when I look at it, it's within the acceptable range. The internet can't handle my dream. Yeah, apparently. I'm watching it, but nothing's changed. Excuse me, what's going on? Sounds like I missed something good. I guess I should have made it more of a warning. Review the past, like, 5 minutes at your own discretion. ALJ. Thank you for the super chat. I will warn you. It's a little... It's cursed. It's a little cursed. I didn't realize you guys would think it was so incredibly cursed. I thought like, oh, this is just a weird dream and you guys are gonna call me like delusional or something. No, but apparently like one comment and you guys just were over the edge. You guys were over the edge and you're like, I don't care what else happens in this dream. Like this is already too much for me to handle. Not cursed, just whiplash. Do you guys... Okay, question, okay. Perhaps... Okay, this is gonna sound really weird, but, like, I don't think... The number of times... Alright, ALJ, cover your ears if you don't want to be, like, cursed. If you don't want to be cursed, because then you'll vaguely understand what the dream was kind of about. Thank you, Red Towel. Not the ears. No, okay. So I actually need to talk to people now because now I'm not sure. But like, I have had, I think it's a girl thing, but like I have had, I can count, it's less than 10 times where I've had a dream about like either being pregnant or having a baby. I think it's a girl thing. But like, this is not the first time I've had a dream like that. Like, straight up. I think I started having, like, they're not like prolific, and it's not like, oh, I have them once a week or I have them once a month. No, it's like really rare. Like, I think maybe the first one I had when I was like 16 or something. Like, I don't know if that's a girl thing. I've never asked anyone. Okay, it's a girl thing. See, look, okay, see, I'm not crazy. Yeah, okay, so if Cha-Cha's talked about, yeah, she's the one, she has babies, so. Yeah, so I think it's just a girl thing. I think it's just absolutely a girl thing. It's just like some subconscious, like, desire, or it's like your body just giving you signals, and it just, I don't know. So it's not unusual. It was particularly unusual because Sanguinius was in it, and like, that combo, I like that combination. That's like probably the best one I've had. Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, guys, I imagine guys have family dreams too. It's just definitely the pregnant part. And like, I don't think I've ever had a dream where I've actually like actively given birth to a child, though. It's more like, oh, I suddenly was like, oh, and I have a baby, and my brain was like, yes, you have a baby now. And I was like, okay, and that's like how the dream went. Although I will say, it's so weird. It kind of depends on the mental state where the girl is at, if they have that sort of dream. I've had dreams where I've like I have a baby, and I end up like waking up in the morning and there's like no baby, and I get sad. It's really weird, but I have like this, like, if there's like a maternal instinct that's like no longer being like satisfied because there's no baby to take care of. And like, I'll be like a little sad for like a whole day or even like half a day where I'm like, where's the baby? It's, yeah, so it's not uncommon. Girls have this thing. Okay, I'm so glad I'm not crazy, because you guys are like, Aurelia, this is so weird. No, it's very heartbreaking. Like, I don't know how to articulate it to you. Like, if you're the kind of person like I am, like, I want kids in the future. Like, I do. And like, when you have one in a dream, you're like, yes, baby, very nice. Or even like a regular kid. I think they've all just been babies in the dreams I've had. Like, and then you wake up and they're not there. You're like, oh, I don't know how to explain. I'm not crazy. It's a normal thing. It's not gender exclusive. I had a couple dreams where I had kids. Okay, that's fair, ALJ. I was more talking about like the pregnant part. It's a little, imagine, oh gosh. That's a terrifying dream for a man. You are pregnant. Congratulations. My weird dreams tend to involve either my teeth falling out or the brakes in my car not working. Yeah, Ripoff Productions, that's a pretty bad dream too. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah, there you go. It is a little existential. Makes me sad. Cha-Cha Dreams. Thank you, Shadow. And Dino Fan, thank you for gifting a sub to Ozzy. Yeah. Oh, I had a dream once where I was holding a loved one and I woke up, there was no girl. Very sad day. Oh gosh, that's terrible. So yeah, there you go. That's, yeah. Yeah. Oh no, one time I dreamed of there's this nice girl who took me out to dinner and we just walked around having a good time. And then I woke up and I felt sad. Oh, yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. You have dreams about a bear breaking into my house and mauling me. Are you disappointed when you wake up, or are you very happy? There you go. So, oh, hi, Ultra Fist. Did you hear anything that just happened? If not, you should go talk to the other mods. They'll tell you whether or not you want to hear it. I had a bad dream where a freshly paved road was destroyed and torn up since they forgot to work on the water pipes. Are you like Rogel Dorn with that dream? That sounds like A Rogel Dorn nightmare. Oh, yeah, see, I've never had date dreams. Like, about going on a date. I've never had those. It's always about, like, having a baby or something. And it's so weird. Yeah. Messes me up a little bit. Oh goodness, yeah. The dreams are wild. He's asking in the moderator channel. Now he knows. Anyways. I love watching it unfold. Oh, see, I'm just glad I'm not feeling crazy. I was like, this is normal. I feel like, because I need to ask my other friends. I need to ask Froggy. Hang on, I'm gonna send her a message. Do you ever have dreams about being pregnant or having a baby? There we go. I've asked. Was Bird Boy the father? Yes, he was. It was like I was going into labor and nothing happened. I ended up not giving birth while I was like in the dream. But he was like, are you okay? And it was apparently like in the middle of the battle. So, you know, like at the most inconvenient time ever. That's a wild thing to send out of the blue. Look, she and I share reels with each other on Instagram. You would be appalled at the things I get from her. And I need to match the energy. Like, I need to match the energy. So I send... My feed is absolutely messed up because of her, because she sent me, like, the most messed up things. And I have to send it back to protect myself. So I also met... it's so cursed. It's so cursed. I showed my friend who knows I stream. I was showing them one of the reels that I sent Froggy, and I was like, look, I have to fight fire with fire. And they looked at the reel and they were like, Aurelia, that's kind of messed up. I'm like, look at the feed, look at what she sends me. I have to defend myself. No, it's cursed. It's probably not as cursed as you can get, but it's certainly outside my, like, normal realm of, like, comfort zone. There's also dreams where you just do your morning routine, then wake up and you have to do it all over again IRL. It's so annoying. I think I've only had 1 or 2 of those. I think I only had, like, 1, and I was at, like, work. Rip-Off Productions. Bosses is starting to sound like a cha-cha stream. Well, we'll keep it simple. I didn't go too crazy into it. I feel like it was kind of tame. But I'm like, I'm terrified to start Instagram has a new feature where it's called like mix. And it'll show, if you and a friend like both do it, it'll show you like reels that each person you would think they'd like, and then like reels you would both like. And I'm a little terrified to see what Instagram would say, because it's not my normal taste. Yeah. I will say most of my dreams, ALJ, aren't particularly vivid. I have a sibling who can lucid dream. Like, they will recognize mid-dream, they're like, oh, I'm in a dream, and then they'll just start doing stuff, and I'm like, I am not that cognizant. I'm not that cognizant. I wish I was, because it would be really freaking cool, but I can never get to that point, unfortunately. Yeah. That's like, it's crazy more often than not how like quickly they can like turn it on, and they're just like, yep, oh, I'm in a dream. Well, time to control every aspect of this dream. I'm like, wow, how do you just do that? So I've never had a lucid dream. Yeah, the worst dreams are the ones where you feel like they're too good and you wake up, yep, and you're late for work. It's inevitable. The best dreams. Anyways, we should probably get started. we should probably get started. We've been talking for longer than I was anticipating, but I wanted to tell you guys about, like, my weird dream. My very weird dream. Oh my gosh. Now my mods are saying very cursed things. That's so cursed. Why would you say that? Oh my gosh, that's so terrible. I hate that. Anyways, we're gonna continue and I'm gonna ignore anything my mods say now. Red Tail Wolf, thank you for gifting a sub to Lord Imp. Oh my goodness. This is why things get so bogged down in my other channels. Okay, I'm gonna put my headphones on and we will switch the screen over. And kinda lucid dream, only with the nightmares and only to wake up. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. Oh my god. Anyways, let me switch the screen. Okay. We are going full screen, so no mini painting today. I just wanted to vibe. I just wanted to chill, eat my salad, and just relax while we watch this. So we are on episode 37. We are in the middle. I might back up like a couple minutes so that I get more context for what's happening. Oh, this is perfect. We'll start right there. Let me turn my background music off. And then I might mute myself periodically because I don't feel like you guys need to hear me eat the entire time. I'm late. What did I miss? You just dropped it on him. You dropped it on him like a bomb. You're just like, yeah, this happened. Man, no warning. You just said, nope. He must suffer like us all. All right. Let me know how the volume is, okay?
Combier's head was pounding.
How was that? Did you like that? Good. It might be a little tiny bit. I'm gonna move the button. Oh no, the button is tied to other buttons. We're not gonna move the button. Actually, we might turn the button off. Apologize, we're gonna turn off the button. Oh, I need to turn off my alerts because you guys will use them if I don't turn them off. All right, sorry, gotta go through and do that. I got all those. Turn that off, turn that off. I think these other ones are fine. Okay, and because I know you like it. 1 second. We're gonna snuggle with the skitter. Okay? Good plan? Alrighty, we're gonna start. Enjoy, guys, relax. I'll occasionally comment on things, but we're just kind of enjoying. This is, I was thinking of something else. A fan with too much time. He has a video series called Star Wars versus Warhammer 40K, and it's so good. He's on YouTube. Could one of the mods drop his link, please? I think Steve is working. Yes, he's working. Good. Please go follow, like his content. It's amazing. He doesn't get any money for this unless you like go to his Patreon or anything. He does this all for free, so no monetization or anything. It's awesome. Go check it out. And let's just relax. Let's enjoy this as we go into the weekend. It'll be, I think, absolutely delightful. Okay? All right.
His body feeling sick, aching all over, but from a few particular places with specifically agonizing pains. He blinked, glad he had been wearing his helmet, and untangled himself from the wreckage he was surrounded by. The armored Axumite tried to remember what had happened to get himself here, and, very slowly, his memory began to return to him, gushing slowly back into his thoughts with each pain-ridden beat of his heart. They had been hauling the Providence class, and Javona had been doing something which had allowed them to
Better take out
actually
Javona.
successfully lift the
gene
wrecked
stealer,
hulk
and that's
with
bad.
the help of many other ships, all the way to where it was needed. Well, almost all the way. Just as they had entered their final approach, the Imperials had begun returning fire from the ground, and Combier's ship had been one of the many which had been struck out of the sky by their lethal volleys. He could hear the ghostly sound of the screaming alarms, now all silent, could remember the sound of his mother's panicked voice as she warned them all to brace for impact.
I wonder if his mom died.
Their ship being torn to ribbons by a cascade of flak fire which quickly overwhelmed their civilian shields. They toppled end over end out of the air, engines combusting as they did and flinging the freighter further, faster, their ship smashing into the ground and flipping like a coin. Meanwhile, they were trapped inside the tumbling and turning vessel, everything ripping apart around them as Combier, Venora, and Javona were tossed and thrown about in their chairs.
I don't know what that denim
Everything
reference
came
is.
to a jarring, violent halt once the ship finally crashed to a smoking rest, less than 300 meters from the Basilica gates. His own chair had come entirely loose of the floor at some point, leaving Combier covered in metallic detritus and sitting at an awkward angle. The young Axumite heir knew not how long he had languished there, unconscious and immobile within the burning wreckage of his family's ship. But he did know enough to guess that it was probably for too long. He carefully pulled himself free of the chair he had been bound to, and the wreckage which pinned him, finding that his armor had protected his body against most things, but it had done comparatively little to shield him from the impacts he had suffered during the crash. That being the case, however, he had to admit that he was very lucky to be alive. And that was luck that he soon discovered was not shared by everyone else.
Oh no.
Combier felt his heart freeze in his chest as his eyes looked up to see the bloody remains of his mother.
I knew
her body
it.
pummeled and twisted, her armor having been far less able to resist than Combier's own. Panic flooded his veins in a
Oh,
cool,
man, poor kid.
soul-crushing rush. He crawled over to her, frantic and suddenly unheeding of his own
gene stealer.
injuries. No, no, no! He begged,
Ah, poor guy.
but he had no gods to hear him, and none did as he cradled her shattered body. Her neck was clearly broken. Her skull caved in on
Oh.
one side. Unlike Combier,
What is this art?
she had
I'm so
not been
confused.
able to get her helmet on in time. He clutched her to him, shaking, sobbing into the moist confines.
If it makes him feel better, I don't think the helmet would have stopped her neck from breaking. Like, that's really sad.
Of his armor, tears raining into it and filtered out by the helmet's internal drain. He held her as though he could somehow pull her out of death's maw, reverse time, and rip them back into the sky before they had been shot down.
Oh, I'm
But,
so sorry, buddy.
of course, this was impossible. And more, the horrid truth sank its teeth
He's an orphan
into him
now.
as reality dragged him forward.
And this is terrible because, you know, the mom had to die because then he's gonna latch on to the gene stealer. And he's gonna, like, fall in love with her. And she has a secret agenda that she would never tell him about.
The wreckage shook and trembled around him, and Combier slowly became aware of the sounds of battle being waged just outside and around it. Had they been there all along, or were they just recently arrived? The Axumite could not tell one way or the other, but decided that the last thing he wanted to do was die here as well. He carefully laid Venora's body down amidst the remains of the ship, closing her eyes and crossing her hands over her chest, taking one last moment to mourn his mother before forcing himself to move on. Goodbye.
Could the Tyranids make it to this galaxy? It's possible. Tyranids have done crazier things.
Bye, Mom. He whispered, barely able to keep himself together through the words, turning away before he collapsed again. He was not looking forward to seeing what was left of Javona, but he knew he could not leave without at least checking on her first, though she had been the least armored of all of them. What he found in place of what he expected stole the breath out of his lungs. Javona was curled up, eyes closed, arms hugging her knees as she floated in the air. Around her in a rough sphere was the crumpled and repelled pieces of various ship debris, which had threatened to crush her. The woman at its center, however, appeared untouched. Javona? Combier asked hesitantly. Her eyes flashed open, and as they did, the effect seemed to suddenly end, floating pieces of metal and wreckage suddenly falling around her, as did she herself, collapsing with a surprised squeak from her place in the air and into the flattened seat beneath her. Combier scrambled forward, reaching her wavering form and helping her sit upright. Holy Criff! Javona? By the many moons of Viego, how is this possible? Combier said, half elated, half disbelieving. Her eyes seemed to finally focus on his helmet, and she smiled up at him, herself happy to see he had survived.
I think she understands now. I think before, she didn't know what being a gene stealer was all about. But, because she's, like, in the first or second generation of, like, gene stealers. So she has some, like, Tyranid traits, but she's not quite there yet. But I think she understands now, because now she got a bunch of, like, super magic, and, I think she understands perfectly now.
The crash. I prayed for aid, and my gods have sent it, she said feebly, having trouble concentrating, a trickle of bright red blood rolling down from her nose. Combier felt more chills cut through him, realizing that she was not as unharmed as she first appeared, and carefully gathering her up in his arms, again ignoring his own pain. Come on, I'm getting us out of here. He grunted as he picked his way across the wrecked cockpit and into the twisted remains of the rear corridor. Javona nodded weakly and closed her eyes, quickly falling from the conscious world, feeling quite literally burnt out. Combier laid her down in the passageway, leaving her only to go and retrieve the case which contained his rifle, getting out and loading the rounds he had left into it. When he came back, he determined he could not carry her and wield the weapon at the same time, and approached the door without her, intent on clearing it before approaching with her in tow. As he made his way through the short, sparking corridor, pushing dangling wires aside and stepping carefully over split floor panels and broken grates, he became aware of a sound. It was an odd, scraping, grinding noise that got louder and louder the closer he came to the doors. Suddenly, those wide, unfolding gates of durasteel were torn entirely off, yanked free by chains which had been hauled upon with an incredible force. He fell away, almost thrown back by the force of his shock, and scrambled out a hasty retreat on his elbows and heels as the young Axumite fumbled with his rifle. A spray of bright las beams seared the air over his head as guardsmen from outside fired into the tilted wreckage. And had Combier still been standing,
I don't know how he's going to survive unless Javona does something.
Following that volley, 4 men charged the entrance, each of them dressed in glossy red and black suits composed of some kind of rubberized material, and each hefting a bayoneted gun. Combier snapped off a shot from his ancient Ripper rifle, and the spike it fired scored dead center down the passageway, puncturing and throwing back 3 of the 4 men with ludicrous ease. The old Mandalorian weapon tossed the soldiers away like weighted harpoons, throwing the Imperials even as they began to disintegrate into ashes from where they had been wounded. But one yet remained, and he seemed not to mind the fate of his fellows in the least as he angled his rifle down and speared heated agony across Combier's body. The advanced armor once more saved his life, reducing what would have been a myriad of fatal wounds to several first and second degree burns scattered over his chest and stomach. He hissed in pain, but that did not stop him from reorienting his long gun barrel and firing his next shot, which flew wide as the Imperial soldier kicked the barrel high, jerking the whole gun out of Combier's hands. Moving with the instincts of a Force sensitive, Combier did not even hesitate, reaching down with his now free right hand
isn't he Force sensitive?
snagging his blaster pistol out from its holster at his side, all the while clamping around the legs of the faceless Imperial with his own and rolling. The maneuver threw the soldier down to the ground just as Combier drew his sidearm, twisting to shoot at the imp who had fallen on top of him.
Realizes what Javona is and takes her out.
Punctured the man's left hand, forcing the fully suited soldier to relinquish his gun as he used his remaining hand to grab Combier's weapon, wrestling with him. Both men grunting and gasping as they fought for control of the pistol. But even one-armed, the Imperial soldier was exceptionally strong, and Combier found himself losing the contest. He elbowed the imp with the hard end of his armored arm, connecting with the glossy visor of the enemy's hazmat-like suit, leaving a long, thin crack along it. Combier grit his teeth and hit him again and again, crying out in frustrated rage as his fingers were pried away from his blaster. He triggered the safety on the weapon just before he relinquished it, pulling himself close to the dark form above him and reaching to grab the Imperial sidearm. The imp growled an inhuman noise of triumph as it wrenched the gun forward, pressing it against Combier's stomach and pulling the trigger. The blaster did nothing, its safety glowing instead as Combier elbowed him one more time in the face, shattering the panel of hardened glass there, revealing reddened monster's eyes. The imp reared away, a muffled howl tearing out of him in fury.
The chaos.
The movement
Imperials.
allowing Combier to yank free the soldier's own gun, firing the last pistol he now held clutched in his hand, shooting from the hip and into the inhuman Imperial's partially revealed face. Brains burnt to a crisp. The Imperial stumbled and fell back off of Combier, revealing in the process of his collapse that the Axumite was far from done with the fight.
Combier is Force sensitive, but he's not been trained as a Jedi.
Over the light of the outside, blocking the way with her hissing powered armor. Combier flinched back as she stomped into the cramped place, the Imperial priestess of war hefting a bulky weapon. She growled something as a pilot light flicked on at the end of the huge alien gun, and Combier had just enough time to shield himself with his arms before a storm of fire was expelled out towards him. The heat scorched him, but though it hurt like a sunburn, it was not half as bad as he had expected. Opening his eyes, he saw why, as Javona stepped over his prone body, suddenly risen once more and extending her hand out as her power split and repelled the jets of hungry flame. Sweat poured off her head as small burns began to form all across her reaching arm. And without gawking for too long, Combier reoriented his stolen last pistol and fired it into the muzzle of the flame-throwing weapon. The Imperial sister spat a curse in her language, ceasing her assault and contemptuously tossing the wounded flamer aside, moments before it combusted, coating half her armor in oily tongues of persistent fire, none of which seemed to affect or bother her at all as she withdrew a power maul from her belt. With a snap of her wrist, its haft extended down, its round, spiked head sparking eagerly. Combeer
Like
felt his
Captain
face
Phasma.
drain of all
Oh
blood
my gosh,
as the
just
woman
like in
approached.
Star Wars.
His counter fire pinging and burning ineffectively off her armored body. She kicked him hard, knocking all of the air out of his lungs and bruising his ribs as she raised her power maul to strike Javona. The insane sister of the Imperial faith wholly focused on her now. The bald woman
Yeah, I'd
recoiled in
focus her
sudden
too.
fear, extending both hands to shove the encroaching enemy away. But as the invisible force hit the Imperial sister, the boots of her armor sparked and coursed with magnetic power and held her fast to the floor, allowing her to continue her approach. Combeer had blots and spots in his eyes as he scrambled with one arm, trying to reach for his rifle while his other fired wide, ineffective shots from the las pistol still in his other hand. But neither of them could do anything to stop what came next. As quick as lightning, a radiant flash cut across the scene, the spark of a power weapon being deflected, lighting the space. The smell of burning flesh and ceramite filling the air in the aftermath. A shining blade of light, emerald cast and glowing, scythed through the midsection of the attacking sister of battle.
Yep, there it is.
Her descending weapon parried by another blade, a short sword of blue light. Growling as she falls, the Imperial is torn in half and thrown against the wall, her upper body landing right beside Combeer. The imp slumps, dropping her mace, but with her other hand, she withdraws a wide...
Thank you, Ripoff Productions, for the super chat. Fan explained in one of the aftertalks that the Carcissian Untouchables are a regiment of mutants who think honorable service will purify their inhumanity in the Emperor's eyes. That is really cool. That's neat. Thank you for clarifying, because I was like, it's been a while since I've watched these, and I didn't watch all the aftertalks. So thank you.
Cylinder, hooking a finger from her newly freed weapon-bearing hand through the metal pin at the top. Combeer's eyes widened to the size of plates as he watched her tense to activate the grenade, only to then watch her hand be severed just as she pulled, her wrist falling away from her arm. As the blue blade of light cut through it, the green blade cleaving the woman's helmed face in half and ending her struggle. The figure who rose from the strike wiped his wide, bald head with his free hand, sighing heavily as he retrieved the grenade, shaking the severed, armored limb free, pulling the pin with his thumb and tossing the explosive outside.
Not
The
Ahsoka.
two humming lightsabers, long green and short blue, held in his other two hands. He was dressed in a motley of armor.
I'm not familiar
Some
with this
pieces
character.
scavenged from the Imperials, other parts scavenged from the city or the Republic. His face was strongly built, handsome despite his hairlessness and the scaly crest which rested at its center. But his most notable features were...
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. They got there so fast. This is so bad. This is bad. This is really bad.
were composed of or on his 3 arms. Not 2 or 4, but 3. 2 limbs grew out of one shoulder on his right side, and those seemed almost human, though they were armored in a thick, pale purple carapace which reached from under his sleeves to his wrists.
This is so bad.
Bony
Oh, no.
extensions reaching as far as the man's knuckles. His left arm was singular, yet somehow far less human than the limbs opposite it. Thick with pulsating alien muscles, and even more armored than his other arms, his left hand ended not in a 5-fingered humanoid appendage, but instead terminated in a 4-fingered claw which was tightly wrapped around the handle which sported the short blue blade. The green blade
that
was
flamer
held in
works.
one of his more humanoid limbs, and with the remaining one he reached down, taking Combeer by the arm and hefting him up. Combeer rose on shaky feet, coughing roughly,
no.
chest aching as he did.
Easy there. Check yourself for broken ribs before we go any further.
The bald, 3-armed man said, clapping Combier's shoulder as the grenade he had tossed outside thundered, the voices of several wounded Imperials joining it. His face was aged, but not quite old, yet his pale brown eyes were worn with experience.
I know Javona had a family, but like the fact that they got here so quickly is kind of
nodded
nuts.
without a word, taking those moments just to pull
Even though
air
she
back
did, like,
into his
send out a
recently
homing
reinflated
signal.
lungs. While he did that, the newcomer turned away and moved swiftly to Javona's side, the woman already smiling before he turned to her and jumping for joy into his arms.
Yeah, gotta be
The
here.
man carefully catching and embracing her, watchful of where he angled the lightsabers he held as he did. "Bathrazan!" she exclaimed, voice overflowing with elation as he spun her in his arms, pressing her head against his, tears beginning to run down her face.
Yes, it's me, little broodkin. It's all right. It's going to be all right.
He cooed, bringing her around and back to her feet.
No, this is cursed. This
patting
is cursed.
and stroking her
This is
back
so
with
cursed.
his free hand as she collapsed into him and wept out of sheer relief. "I'm sorry for leaving the hideout. I didn't tell them anything about..." she began to say, but he shushed her again.
It's all okay. We are here for you. We could never abandon you.
The newcomer comforted, holding her tight. But the others, the Imperium, she began to say, pulling away somewhat as she did.
Oh,
Javona,
no.
all that matters is that you are safe.
He said.
Liquai, Jalsop, and myself. None of us are as important as you are. My greatest fear was that I would not reach you in time. With the force required to rescue you, it is a boon and blessing from the gods that you are whole and safe again.
Javona smiled, rubbing her face against his hand as he ran it along her cheek, closing her teary eyes for a moment before opening them again and looking towards Combier. "It's all thanks to him," she said, indicating towards where the Axumite was recovering his rifle, groaning as he bent over and began to check the damage to the old gun. She smiled fondly, and in a way that Bathrazan knew well enough. He turned to follow her eyes and smirked, though not unkindly.
Then I will need to introduce him.
Oh no. Get assimilated, bro. Get assimilated. She has the look and he's like, yep, this is the guy. Okay, time for you to have kids and make gene stealers. This is terrible. This is terrible.
Him to the others. If you have chosen him, then he will have a high place among us.
He said more softly. Javona blushed and looked down, but suddenly catching
She knows exactly what it means too. It's not lost on her. She's like, okay.
what he had said, looked back up suddenly. "The others? Did they all come?" Javona asked, surprised. Bathrazan smiled a wide, toothy grin and nodded his large, aged head.
Oh yes, Jalsop brought them all. All the new converts and many, many more besides. Jal wants to use them to completely destroy the Imperials on this planet.
He said, souring slightly at the end. "And you? What do you want now?" she would ask him. Bathrazan straightened with a sigh and began to face Combier, readying to welcome him more formally as he sensed the Axumite would soon be joining his family.
You know me, Javona. I am a preserver. I just want to save those I can and get them away from the death camps. Like you. And maybe like him too.
I was smooth. That was so smooth. Okay. The intermission, but we barely just got into this, so we're gonna skip over the intermission. Since we just kind of went through, we just started this a little bit ago. Okay, back to it.
Farnes groaned feebly, wincing, head throbbing in the darkness. Nerva! He called through a scratchy, dry throat. He could still feel her vaguely behind him, but she was still and silent. The cockpit of the Knight had been crushed just as the night had been. The already cramped space crumpling until Farnes could barely move, and becoming deprived of all light. None of the controls he could reach were responsive to his touch, and it took him what felt like hours to finally properly judge his own physical condition. He had hit his head hard, and was bleeding from a gash somewhere in his hair. He was constricted into a half-standing, half-sitting position which left him leaned far forward, his chest barely able to take a full breath in without touching the pushed-in blank screens and panels of the forward console.
Oof.
He was sure that all his toes were broken, maybe even more of his feet, but he could move them enough to judge that he was not pinched or stuck. There was not enough space for him to turn to closely examine Nerva, but after listening very closely and holding his own breath, he was sure he was able to confirm to himself that she was still alive, still breathing, just unconscious. That was the only bit of potentially good news he had, though, since, alive or dead, they were trapped by the closed, unpowered hatch of the Night Walker.
Yeah.
After enough squirming, he was able to work his sidearm las pistol out of its holster, and managed to painfully haul himself all the way up to the closed door.
Oof.
The young guardsman felt around for anything he could use to manually open it, but nothing he pulled, twisted, or tugged on had any effect, and having felt around the rim of the doors, he doubted anything would. The Knight was crushed in around the door itself, and even if there was some kind of emergency release, it would not shock him at all if it simply would not function after all the damage the machine had suffered. He considered his weapon, wondering if there was some way to shoot himself out before laughing grimly at himself. Well, there was one way he could shoot his way out of this situation.
Oh my gosh, that's morbid.
Out of any and
That's
every
so
situation,
morbid.
in fact, save the Emperor's judgment. But he was not eager to explore that option. Maybe if it seemed he would be consigned to starving to death in this darkness, but not yet. After all, he still needed to find out what happened to the two surviving members of his squad, needed to know if they had gotten Gala to the Medicae in time. It was as he was thinking, otherwise silent in the darkness, that he noticed the noise. A soft, distant tapping. At first, he just assumed it was something innocuous, just some part of the environment, but something about the steady yet irregular rhythm of the taps bothered him. They sounded almost like Morse code. His heart beat hard as he realized what they might be, his brain churning as he tried to decipher the metallic taps in the dark. He had a harder time hearing, despite being quiet, his heartbeat pounding in his ears, but soon he got enough to work out a small portion of the message. It was Morse code. Someone was trying to communicate with him. Where was the tapping coming from? Was it coming from outside the night? Biting his lip in excitement and nervousness, Farnes began to work out the whole message, which he soon realized was being endlessly repeated.
Alarming conditions detected. Is aid required?
Was the message. Taking a deep breath, Farnes composed his own message in his head, and then, with the muzzle of his sidearm, tapped it out. Identify yourself, was what he sent.
This is Buffin 337. Loyal servant of the machine god.
Was the message he got back. Farnes was almost dizzy with elation, beginning to tap back another message soon afterwards, being forced to stop and start 2 or 3 times in his excitement. Aid required. Trapped inside. Tech priest critically injured. Need help ASAP. He clinked out with his gun. There was a pause then, before some more tapping answered him.
Understood. Stand by. Now seeking nearest aid.
Farnes nodded in the dark,
Buffin.
gasping his relief and tapping back one last message. Understood. Standing by. Hurry. He got no reply to that, which was much as he expected. However, he was not idle while he waited. He did not know how much he could realistically do in his current position, but he was intent on finding out. If his experience in the locked chimera had taught him one thing, it was that nothing was as suffocating as helplessness. Nerva had been doing the bulk of the work, had been protecting him, protecting the Canoness, protecting the Imperium itself. Now, some way, somehow, it was his turn. He felt a flush of shame fill him for a moment as he remembered his suicidal considerations, taken only moments before encountering Bofin. That's no way for a guardsman to think. He scolded himself in the darkness,
Sorry, that was my
gripping
chair.
his weapon with a new conviction. He would make sure they...
Orc code is a similar function to real word Morse code, and the Sisters of Silence use it. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Thanks for the bit, Shadow.
both got out of this mess. Varnish swore he would not rest until they were both back with the Imperium proper, and out of this metal tomb. He would do whatever he could, however he could, or he would perish in the attempt of it. And the first step to that was working out how to get out of here. It was his turn to stand, and with Bofin's help, he hoped he'd at least have the dignity to die standing, as opposed to locked in a dead mechanical demigod. Mace Windu stood within a tall spire, the room he now commanded having been converted into a forward command post from a hollow network media center. A hollow projection table, several stations, and many large pieces of communications equipment had been brought in and set up. He leaned over the table, viewing with clarity the battle now taking place in the crushed avenue leading up to the Basilica. The blue units of the 501st poured down like a purifying flood from the top of the crashed dreadnought, hitting all sides of the red-lit surviving Imperial forces just as the withdrawn troops who had surrendered the avenue suddenly returned, catching the Imperials between them. To add to that, crowds of yellow combatants were charging up from several of the larger adjoining roads.
The very
Axumite.
Our current modern looking computer here. It's so out of place
from the looks of it, and they were hammering into the Imperials hard from three separate sides. Though one of these three mobs seemed far more effective than the others. He watched as it enveloped and devoured several Imperial forces which had managed to fight their way off the main road, cutting through their normally resilient defenses with speed. But it was not long before their canny enemy began some kind of effective recovery, the Basilica gates flying open as reserve soldiers poured out, lancing into groups of clones and rebels in order to extract those they could from the clutches of death. Windu helped to organize the counter-offensive from this omniscient position, but even so, the Imperial rescue team...
I need to check something. Hang on. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be picky. Omniscient position. I was double checking this. Omniscient means you know everything. I think Fan meant to say all-seeing position, because he can see everything. You see, Simba, everything the light touches is our kingdom. I would love to be in an omniscient position. Let's just say that. I'd love to know everything. Actually, that's not true. Omnipresent, no, that one doesn't work either. Omnipresent, let me make sure. Omnipresent is... There's two different definitions for it, but usually omnipresent is like everywhere at the same time. Omnipresent doesn't work there either. Omnipercipient, is that even a word? But that omni is just a bad word to use because that is like everything, right? That would be, it's still like you're saying you're seeing everything, which is just not adequate for this. Sorry, I'm being so picky. I just heard the word omniscient, which you don't normally hear in regular media. You just don't hear that very often. And like, I was like, that's not what that means. Sorry, I was like, Omnipercipient definition. No, I still don't agree. Let me find the definition. Perceiving everything. No. He is not seeing everything. He is seeing everything in this area. His scope is still limited because he cannot see everything that is on this given planet or even in the given galaxy. So I disagree. Omnipercipient is still not the appropriate term. Omnipercipient in this area, not necessarily. He can't see into buildings. So even in that particular area, he's still not omnipercipient. So he can, though, through the Force. Is he that powerful to cover like at least several dozen square miles? Square miles, not just miles. Like we're talking about a ton of space. We're also including vertical space. I don't know. Mace Windu is powerful. I don't know if he's that powerful. I would still not call him omnipercipient. But I know I'm just being difficult. Yes, that was a actually. Maybe I should get an emote that's actually. I should do that. That's on the list. Actually.
Teams still managed to stall their advance long enough to rescue many otherwise doomed Imperial forces, all of them retreating into the gates of the Basilica compound. Mace ground his teeth together as he observed it. Despite their earlier bombardment, the walls still stood, and the grounds within them were heavily fortified. "Should we prepare our forces for an assault, General?" asked the clone commander who stood to Windu's right.
Not really
he
a
shook his
debate
head,
of vocabulary.
looking at the trooper, one of
Just a
Ayla's
comment.
men, his armor chipped in some places, blackened in others. The room was mostly lit by the shine of computer consoles, and what sunlight managed to make it through the line of windows which created one wall of the room, most of them already cracked or partially shattered. The Jedi Master sighed.
It's a metaphor? No, we're not going to get into it. Because I will start dissecting this piece that was not meant to be dissected in a literary sense. We're going to keep going.
Heavily, leaning forward over the holographic battlefield and closing his eyes for a moment. "No, assaulting now will only bleed us even more.
I think the
Find
Gmod
out if those
illustrations
Axamites
are
have a
really
leader,
good compared
and
to some of
get me
the
in
other
contact
art
with them
I've
if they
seen.
do. We need to
At
coordinate
least
with them
in
if it
this
is
episode
possible.
in particular.
Have our forces surround the Basilica. Either we are settling in for a siege, or we are containing them to the temple grounds until the rest of the order
I'm trying
arrives,"
not to engage.
Mace said, the clone saluting as the doors leading into the room slid open, permitting Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex to stride inside. The ex-Jedi stood straight, hands folded behind her back as her eyes met Windu's from across the hologram projecting table. Both warriors now marked by the battles they had endured.
Enjoy, Michael. I hope
Rex
you enjoy. I'm
himself
really liking
was
this
no
series
less
so
worse
far.
for wear, his armor chipped and singed in several places,
my
a
comments
few
about
flakes
vocabulary,
falling
though.
off as he snapped a crisp salute. "Commander Tano, Captain Rex, it's good to see you are both safe. And though your entrance was a bit
Dino fan, thank you for the
dramatic
gifted
for my
sub to
taste,
Rosario.
I cannot argue with your results.
saw it. Thank
Well
you.
done," he said, his face softening as he regarded the former Padawan. Seeing her now, Mace felt a pang of remorse for his and the Council's hasty decisions
Yeah, you
surrounding
should.
her trial. She had the makings of a true Jedi, strong in form and spirit, and that strength shone through now as she stood wreathed in the glory that came from being the one
Weren't
who
so
rescued the
omnipresent
entire
there,
assault. Ahsoka Tano, the ex-Jedi student of the Chosen One, still holding strong long after so many others within the Order had fallen or lost the strength to go on. He was coming to understand that her departure from the Order was a larger loss than he and the others had been willing to admit at the time.
Yeah.
And one he hoped would prove ultimately temporary. Same to
No.
you, Master Windu.
I'm sorry.
I was afraid.
There's no way she goes back after that. Like, if you watch those episodes in that Clone Wars series, no. they were so in the wrong. I understand your due diligence, but holy cow, they really botched that.
That seeing you here would mean that we had lost the shipboard contest, but it looks like most of the order is still standing, she said, gesturing to the Jedi around them, many of whom were helping to coordinate the clones as they enveloped the Basilica.
Oh,
we disabled their
Gmod.
vessel, for the most part. Doing any
Gmod
more would have
Ahsoka.
demanded a higher price than I was willing to pay. Besides, we may have come back with an even larger prize in the destruction of one ship. But never mind that for now. How are your men doing? I can see even from here that you are not without your own losses.
Yeah, they don't deserve
said Master
Ahsoka, I
Mace
agree.
Windu. Ahsoka nodded, and Rex stepped forward, projecting their numbers in a report displayed from his wrist-mounted holoslate. Right you are, General. Taking the ship was no mean feat, and we did still lose some men in the crash. All in all, however, the 501st is ready to help reinforce a Star Corps wherever we are needed. Hope you don't mind, but some of our men have been a little
casually
proactive
leg that's like missing. Oh, you guys can't see it. It's like behind my head. But this guy's missing a leg.
when it comes to
You'll see
upgrading
it
our
in a
equipment.
moment.
Many are using droidmen weapons we took while reclaiming the ship, the clone informed. Mace
missing
nodded,
a leg.
waving his hand as though it were the essence of unimportant. As long as they're still firing for our side, I don't care what guns your men use. We are currently moving to seal the Imperials inside their fortress while we wait for
Tis
the other
but a
half of the
flesh
order to
wound.
arrive. Once
Have it
gathered,
you.
we'll crush them with a single, decisive strike. It will be over before they even know it has begun,
Yeah, just rub some
said
dirt on it.
Mace. If that is the goal, then we should get some clones to work on sapping locations beneath the enemy temple. Here, and here would be the
You can
best
still
locations.
hop to it.
Ahsoka said, gesturing to a section of the massive city platform that held the basilica and its surrounding structures up. The image zoomed in to display the breaching locations she was indicating towards. When we attack the gates, most of their forces will be drawn to more defensible locations, and they may not notice holes appearing in these places. If we set up just right and time the intrusions with the main assault, we might be able to smuggle a battalion or two of clones behind their perimeter before they even realize there has been a breach, she advised. Mace looked on approvingly, rubbing his chin for a moment before giving her a sharp nod. That is good thinking, Commander. I'll get some clones on it as soon as I can. I assume some of your men would be up to it? Mace asked, and Ahsoka nodded, though her face scrunched with thought for a moment. We may want to recruit some of those civilian militias then, the young warrior added, zooming the display out and then pointing down into the holographic map at the yellow-colored forces. We may not otherwise have enough men to do it all. I agree my forces should set up the breaching locations, but if they do, there may not be enough of the 501st to completely seal in the enemy. However, if we can co-opt some of these rebel forces, then we should have more than enough to encircle them, she said. Windu looked and nodded, but seemed a bit confused, brows scrunching at her words. I intend to look into that. However, I am perplexed by your concern. I know your forces were mauled by the Imperials in orbit, but do you really have so few men left under your command? The Jedi Master asked, the ex-Padawan nodding her head solemnly. Yes, the Imperial droidmen did not make it easy for us. On top of that, I'm forced to hold a portion of my forces back to guard our prisoners, she explained, causing Windu to raise his eyebrows.
Prisoners.
Prisoners? He asked. She nodded again, more forcefully. Of course, they aren't actually droids. Both on the ship and in our counter-assault on the main road, I've ordered my troops to use their stun setting to take as many prisoners as possible. Our recent offensive has racked up a pretty large prisoner count, she
You don't
said,
need
crossing her
that
arms lightly
many-
and sounding pleased with herself.
But you don't need like that many prisoners. Reasonably, you don't?
Windu scowled softly and sighed much more heavily,
Windu
shaking
and
his
I
head and rubbing his
agree.
face with a thickly calloused hand. Ahsoka, we cannot contribute any more of our forces to secondary objectives
If you
at this
get like
time.
10,
Every
acceptable.
trooper is needed to... Mace began to say, secondary objectives?
Now
Ahsoka
she's
asked,
gonna be
speaking
irrational.
the words with a huff of humorless laughter, as though she could not believe what she was hearing. Yes, secondary objectives.
Yeah.
Our primary objective is the subduing of the remaining armed and active Imperial forces on Axum. If we are to break through the Basilica's defenses, we need every Jedi and every trooper ready to do their part, not guarding an expanding pool of war criminals, he said sternly. Master, How are we going to come to a reasonable understanding with these people if we do not even bother to take prisoners? More than half the intel I've gained on them came from one discussion I've managed to have with one of their priests. A priest I captured. Besides, what exactly do you want me to do with the prisoners I do have? Let them go to rejoin the enemy?
Yeah.
She asked,
she
shaking
gets
her
pretty
head
upset
and
when
crossing
people
her
give her
arms more
pushback.
tightly. Obviously not, said Windu. So what? Execute them? Defenseless prisoners? Do I even need to remind you that doing that is not our way?
It's the Imperial way.
Ahsoka snapped. Look, Tano.
No.
Just do
so
not...
she does have a point where it's like, how are we supposed to talk to these people? But like, in this scenario, like, it's pretty insane how like ruthless and cutthroat the Imperials are. They don't seem to be responding much to reason, except for that one conversation she had. That was one conversation with one guy. They're pretty like fanatical. She just doesn't know that yet.
Take any more prisoners. We can recover any wounded that survived the battles or any who surrendered to us, but outside of that, no more. That is an order, the Jedi Master said in a low voice, his patience grinding thin. But, Ahsoka began, this is not a debate. You have your orders, Commander. I expect you to follow them. He almost
honestly,
yelled,
it's fair.
slamming his fist down on the table and causing the holograms to flicker. Ahsoka flinched back and then scowled angrily. She grit her teeth
She's
and
very
turned
much
back
like
toward...
Anakin, where she doesn't like she likes giving the commands, but she doesn't like taking them. And there's a time and place for both.
The door with an indignant posture, walking away. Where are you going? Mace called at her back. To help my men in securing the Central Avenue, sir. She said over her shoulder before slamming the door button, causing it to hiss and slide open, permitting her to exit. Come on, Rex.
Yeah, the
She
priest
snapped.
was not
The clone
talking
captain
about
saluted
the
to
Force
Mace
force.
Windu
He was
once
talking
more
about the motive
before
force.
pursuing Ahsoka out the door, the two walking out beside a third party that was entering just as they left. This newcomer was escorted by two clones to either side, the odd alien leering at Ahsoka, who cringed away from the creature as she passed, soon out of sight.
Yeah.
I heard you were looking for me. Well, look no further, Master Jedi.
Hissed this new figure who sauntered into the room. Mace blinked. The man who slid into his command center was unlike any being he had ever seen before. Tall
Windu,
and
you gotta take this man
straight-backed,
out.
with a large bald head, intelligent yellow eyes, and a handsome, if stretched, face. This newcomer strode as though he were the one granting an audience to the Jedi, and not the other way around. Most shockingly of all was the man's 3 arms, his 2 right limbs appearing humanoid, whereas the left was composed of an enormous 4-digited taloned claw. I'm sorry? Have we met? I don't think I'm looking for anyone like you at the moment, Windu said, straightening to meet the man.
I'm
Who
the
are you?
leader of the rebels.
Oh.
I could have sworn you wanted to see me to coordinate. Isn't that right?
How did he get in here?
man-
How did he get here? I'm sorry. How did he get in here?
Asked with a serpent's smile, coming to lean
Bro.
against the table. Mace nodded, quirking his eyebrows. You are the leader of all the rebels? He asked. Not quite, was the answer Mace got, but the rough rasp came not from the alien Windu had been talking to, but rather from yet another newcomer who was being escorted in by 2 more clones. This newly arrived
Dude,
man
it's
was
very
huge,
concerning.
over 6 feet of hard, obvious muscles, wrapped in green
Obvious
work fatigues and a
muscles.
black trench coat which was torn, singed, and still smoking slightly. The black-haired man stared forward with hard, dark eyes, a burning cigarette held clenched between his pursed lips as he spoke out one side of his mouth. Unlike the rebel who was already in the room, this man seemed entirely human, though no less confident in his demeanor. Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, is that right? The man asked as he came to stand beside the table, looking down at the hologram projection that stood between them. Close. Master Kenobi is currently in the field. I am Jedi Master Mace Windu. And you are? Mace said,
how did they vet these people? Like, the clones obviously escorted them in, but how do you, like, vet them? It's like, yeah, I'm the leader of the rebels. Prove it.
Sign of annoyance as he controlled the growing headache he felt pounding in his head. Samael.
It would be the Gene Stealer.
I'm leading this group down here, said the burly man, pointing down towards the smallest of the rebel mobs, which had gathered towards the southern end of the battlefield. Mace nodded, noting the man's odd accent and soldier's bearing, before turning towards the other who had come before him. That is good to know. Here I was about to ascribe all these groups to one authority, Windu said pointedly. The alien shrugged dismissively, walking around the holotable and indicating towards the hologram of the battle. He gestured with his black talons towards the yellow group of rebels which had been destroying the Imperials they encountered with unusual effectiveness.
This is my group. I cannot speak for the others. That's the truth, I swear it.
He confessed mockingly. Mace looked down and scowled somewhat as he noticed which group the man laid claim to and what this group was doing. Good. Then as our first order of business, we can have you order these people to pull back. If they keep charging up towards the Basilica, they are going to run head first into the Imperial weapons batteries. Those weapons will... Mace began to say, pointing at the advancing yellow forces who were even then chasing the retreating tail of the Imperium up towards the temple grounds.
We'll do nothing we cannot overcome if your Jedi warriors rip them off the walls or fall upon them with your power swords.
The alien man interjected in the midst of Windu's sentence.
Now is not the time to hold back. The Imperials are off balance, demoralized. We need to strike them now, relentlessly and without pause. We need to rub them out until they no longer exist.
Mace raised his hand to stall him, looking towards the human counterpart to the alien rebel. What do you think? He asked.
Yeah,
the man
so
shook
I was
his
thinking,
head.
this is the guy that's like... I think he's an Imperial spy, and he's doing a very good job at it.
Swiveling a line of smoke in the air as he did, reaching up to take the smoldering tube from his mouth as he spoke. We press on now, we might win, but the cost will be massive. Even if you knock out those emplacements, this is a layered wall with pillboxes lined all throughout. The kill zones on these segments will drown us in weapons fire and our own blood. The human rebel pointed out, awkwardly waving at the holotable until it caught his movements and zoomed out, displaying the entire starburst-shaped structure of the walls. Mace nodded and turned to the alien leader, gesturing towards the holographically highlighted defensive measures which dotted the entirety of the spiked configuration. Attacking now will only mean bleeding ourselves on their defenses. I have around 2,000 more Jedi Knights en route. They will be here in as little as 6 hours. I intend to wait for them before making any offensive moves against that fortress. Mace explained, firm but calm. The human adopted a thinking posture, but nodded his head somewhat while the three-armed man hissed in obvious displeasure. Sounds like a sound... Samael started to agree.
I will not give them rest.
Well,
Their death is within our grasp. Yes, we shall all bleed, but our blood will drown them. Don't you see?
The odd alien insisted. Listen, Mr... Mace began to say.
Jalsop.
He snapped out in response. Jalsop. If you choose to attack them now, you will attack them alone, and you will not succeed. Calm down and give your people time to rest and regroup. When they attack again, they will do so with the Republic's full support. But that time is not now. Windu explained calmly.
Foolish! I've already ordered my broodkin to assault the walls. Cutting them back now will only mean taking fire as we retreat.
The alien man contested. Still less losses than you'll take if you commit, the human leader added.
We are at war! Losses are inevitable.
Just less losses, my guy.
All that matters is that we earn something for those whom we lose. Retreating earns us nothing.
It's a temporary.
Jolsop snapped back. Losing everything to win a battle is foolish if we intend to win the war. Windu interjected. Let us not be wasteful with the lives under our command. Wait, he said, suddenly pausing, eyes darting as a subtle sense brushed across his mind.
Winning this battle could well start the winning of this war!
Jolsop began to say, cut off a moment later by a frantic wave of Windu's hand. The Jedi Master craned his head as if trying to listen, and several of the other Jedi stopped working as well, suddenly paused and silent as they looked about. A few moments passed before, suddenly, Windu's eyes snapped wide open, his hands extending out to cast a sudden expansion of the Force between all the men present around the table, throwing himself and the two others away. Almost the very instant after he did this, the roof above them caved in under the force of a shaped charge, the explosion shattering the holotable into pieces. The clones and Jedi in the room snapped around to face the sudden disturbance, falling straight into their assailants' hands as flash grenades fell out from the smoking hole above them. Each one held and cooked to detonate just as they reached the halfway point between the ceiling and the floor. The bright flashes blinded the unprepared inhabitants of the command center as men and more grenades came down.
Yeah!
The round weaponized canisters hit the ground alongside the boots of the men who had dropped them, spewing disorienting smoke into the air as the blinded Jedi and clones tried to blink vision back into their eyes. Meanwhile, all around them, more ceiling charges exploded, all following a similar pattern.
I don't know how they
dropping
managed
smoke
to do
grenades
this.
from the newly created holes before following them up rapidly with the visored
It does
soldiers
look like a
of
hell
the
diver, but I
Tempest
don't think it
Scions.
is. Nope, Tempest
Their aided
Scions.
sight cut through the smoke they deployed into, and their advanced
Now imagine that they're part of the Tempris Auxilia.
training and lethal armaments did the rest, firing through the haze and cutting down most of the Jedi and clone troopers in the room. None but the very best survived the initial attack, and nearly all were forced to dive behind whatever cover they could manage to find for themselves. Mace Windu, however, sought no such protection.
What is the Tempris Auxilia? Sir, have you not been in the Discord server? You haven't. I highly recommend you check it out. They are a very specialized guard regiment that a couple of my members have been making amazing lore for. It's incredible. It's awesome. They did it all on their own, and I liked it so much it's official. It's official. So if you go to the Discord server, there are some some channels within the server that you should check out. Yeah, it's really good. So look into it. They have a whole lore document with like nice illustrations and everything. So, you know, just putting that out there.
He didn't even draw his blade, diving straight into the attacking Scions with his bare, force-wreathed fists. Mace was a master among masters, and had already had clone medics remove the most troublesome of his new metallic welts, blocking out what pain remained as he pumped his fist into them. Each strike was like the blast of an autocannon loaded with armor-piercing rounds, save for the fact that Windu's limb was far larger than any bullet those guns fired. His knuckles blew bloody chunks out of the soldiers he encountered, their fellows maneuvering to swathe him in lethal crossfire, but never moving quite fast enough. Yet, despite the inability of the central squad of Scions to gain control over their engagement with the Jedi Master, the other breaching squads and those who followed in after them made short work of most who remained, something Windu was powerless to stop. The Jedi were well trained in how to deflect incoming projectiles, and indeed, the Imperial lasboat was just as susceptible to an intercepting lightsaber blade as any shot taken from a blaster. And yet they moved much faster, throttling through the air at the speed of lethal light. as opposed to the much slower pace the bolts lobbed at Jedi from blasters moved at, requiring highly honed reflexes and precognitive mastery from those who sought to block any volley coming from even a single source. And each Jedi and clone found themselves not randomly targeted and shot, but rather the victims of systematic cross and focus fire. The effects were nearly decisive, with all the clones and most of the Jedi dying in the room within moments, with only a few significant holdouts. The human rebel leader, Samael, rolled behind cover and barely managed to evade the sprays of lethal death coming from the few stormtroopers who had homed in on him, while the alien rebel proved far more proactive. Jolsop bounded off the floor in an instant recovery after he was repulsed from the center of the room, his movements smooth and predatory, like a Nexu unleashed in the middle of the fight. Where Mace used the Force to enact his impossible physical feats, Jolsop relied on pure foreign physicality. Alien muscles pulsated, carapaced flesh swelling and contracting as he ran through the smoke.
Second time he's used that word to describe a gene stealer.
Human senses making up for any mundane eyesight the obstructions denied him. With the precision and speed of a striking hawk, the gene-thieving alien plunged its clawed hand through the armored chest of the nearest scion, ripping through the gun the soldier raised to shield himself as though it were but paper. His gore-laden talons exited in a torrent of red, ripping free the Imperial's still-beating heart and throwing it into the face of the next, blinding the scion just as he lined up shots on the rebel leader. Together with the Jedi Master and the few other survivors of the command post, Jolsop began to swiftly return to the scions the death they had been so eagerly dealing. And in moments, more clones and Jedi were shoving into the room, weapons out and looking for targets. The scions and their Tempestor Prime were being boxed in, the Imperials backing away towards the wide windows which formed one wall of the room, firing in desperate sprays of strobing lasbolts as they tried to stop the two foes who were tearing through their lines like tinfoil. Moving swiftly, they put their backs to the glass, and then, surprisingly, threw themselves out.
If Samael is a spy, he is doing the most convincing job of, like, proving he's not. Like, no one will ever question his loyalty in this moment. It's genius.
Glass shattered, fragments reflecting the sun as they toppled from the side of the endlessly tall spire. Mace and several Jedi and troopers running to the jagged windowsills to see with their own eyes what the Imperial commandos would do. Their heads were forced back into the building. A few clones and one Jedi not withdrawing fast enough, craniums and faces bursting apart in volleys of light. The imps had fallen only a short distance into the waiting, open side doors of 4 impossibly parked Torox Primes, the wheeled vehicles adhering magnetically to the side of the building. It was from their turret guns that the lethal covering fire—
I don't think Samael is a space marine in disguise. I don't think they described him as like 8 feet tall. I think he's a regular dude.
Came, the wall-crawling vehicles remaining for only as long as it took to secure their passengers before driving off at a furious speed across the side of the building. Clones protruded out to fire at their backs, and other Jedi began to scatter to give chase through the spire, calling for more troops
if he's
as the
short
smoke
for a space
in the
marine, what if he's Alfarius? Oh. You never know.
Destroyed command post leaked out through the windows and into the burning sky. Mace stood, face hard and lined with sweat, heart pounding in his chest as he looked out, watching the Imperials flee. He stepped away, glass crunching under his boot as he turned, raising an eyebrow as he regarded the alien leader of the Axumite rebels. His body revealed more and more as the smoke vacated the room.
Good thing
he
they
lay
don't really
upon
care.
the shard-studded ground, his face fixed in a vicious grin, gore-colored claws stretched out before him. Jolsop was dead, having been killed just before the end of the engagement, but not by any of the Imperial agents who had assaulted them.
Samael?
At least, not the ones in the armor. The strange alien man had a large molten wound cutting down through his spine. A wound which looked suspiciously like that left by a lightsaber or something similar. Turning to face the room fully, Mace could see much being revealed, but even after all the smoke had cleared, one feature remained absent. The other rebel leader, the human Samael, was gone.
Okay, well...
Had he fled in the chaos?
Yeah, so he is an Imperial agent because he took out the Gene Stealer. He knows that that is bad news. And he wants the Gene Stealers to die assaulting the walls.
Run away during the attack? It was a reasonable assumption, Mace knew. His eyes swung slowly back to the dead alien leader whom he had been fighting alongside only a few moments ago, who had died right under the Jedi Master's nose. It was also reasonable to assume that the obvious Imperials were not the only Imperials that were there. Troopers began to move through the room, securing what they could, beginning to replace most of what was there, and nervously watching Master Windu as he approached the dead rebel.
And I was wondering, because Samael, since he's like fled the scene now, he was there to like maybe act as a beacon to the Scions so that they would know where the command structure was.
Kneeled by his side, looking more closely at his wound. While it superficially resembled a lightsaber's cut, it was obvious
like a power
to the
knife,
Master that this damage did not come from any typical lightsaber configuration. The burn was almost jagged, while remaining mostly precise, as though the blade had been flickering and fluctuating when the blow had been struck. Windu stood back up, frowning deeply. How had the Imperials discovered this location? How had they managed to scout it and strike so effectively without being caught or noticed at some point?
Samael!
More and more, the evidence was pointing in one direction. Trooper, locate the other rebel leader, the man named Samael,
You will not
and bring
find
him to
him.
me. Master Windu said, snapping the order off to one of the
find him.
nearby clone commanders. The man nodded. Aye, will do, General. What are we bringing him in for? He asked. Mace Windu shook his head, rubbing his chin as he sighed heavily out from his nose, turning to face the broken and now ruined holotable. Nothing yet. I've just got a bad feeling about him.
No, you should straight up say that you think this guy might be a spy. There we go. See? Let me look at the... What's the next one? The next one's like an hour long. So here's what I'm thinking. Next time we do this, we watch the one that's like there's two of them that are like, oh wait, that's the aftertalk. No, it's long. I'm trying to debate because I kind of just want to chat. I kind of just want to chat with you guys and just hang out. Watch the rest of the series right now. Well, I hate to break it to you, but there's like, let's see, 47 episodes so far, and we just finished 37. There's no way. There's no way. And some of them are broken into parts. So some of them have like 2 parts. Oh, no. One of them is broken into 4 parts. And no, 2 of them are broken into 4 parts. There's no way. That's so many episodes. Oh my goodness. So many episodes. There's no way. Yeah, well, we'll chat. We're not going to end. We're just going to chat. We're just going to hang out. I figured that. I figured that would be fine at least. Oh, my arm is floating in space. Let's fix that. Fixed. Sliding my screens around. Bring the skitter back? Well, the skitter... There. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. 1 second. I'm gonna fix so I can hold the skitter. There. Not completely broken. There. There. Oh, music back on. There. Yeah, 37 was a good episode. I like Samael. I like how he's a spy or an assassin or both. You know what? I'm happy with either. I'm happy with either. It was good. Yeah, there's so many more episodes. We've got a lot to go through. It'll probably be several more weeks going through to watch all the episodes. There's just a lot. But next time I think we'll do painting. It's definitely more engaging when I'm like painting or working on another project. Ooh. Sorry. Fumbled. Oh man. I gotta stretch. Yeah, the painting is therapeutic too, so I want to do that next. I didn't have the energy today to do painting on top of like so many other things. My money is that he's an Inquisitor. That would be a pretty good bet, I'd say. Yeah, he's probably some form of Inquisitor. Which would kind of make sense because we've only dealt with one Inquisitor so far. He's very much messed up. He's a terrifying dude. Inquisitors are kind of terrifying in general, but this guy's like, he's all sorts of like crazy. I don't want to deal with that. He's got like shark teeth, and that's bad. That's bad. You can't paint Grey Knights that come out of the box like that. Yeah, they're already gray, so you don't need to paint your Grey Knights. You don't need to paint them. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. You don't need to do any work. What's the point? What's the point? Inquisitors just need a hug. I think to an extent everyone needs a hug. Everyone needs a hug. Everyone needs a hug, so... But I wouldn't recommend hugging an Inquisitor. Hi, Steven. Welcome in. We're just hanging out and chatting. We're just hanging out and chatting for a little bit. May I request to go to sleep? Well, you can go to sleep. You don't have to... You don't need my permission. Go to sleep. Yeah, you don't have to ask me. Clearly, the Imperiums were already dealing with the gene stealer problem before the transfer. So I'm kind of curious because they were talking about the gene stealers, and the gene stealers are at a point where they are producing like their hardcore psychers, which is bad. But that means the gene stealers have been around for a couple generations, so it implies that the Star Wars universe has actually been dealing with gene stealers for probably like 40 years or something, at least. Like 40, 60 years. So it kind of concerns me because the Imperium only like recently just started like, you know, messing with the Star Wars universe. They only arrived like less than like, it's probably like less than 6 months or something like close to that. So I have questions about like the timeline of events, because that means the gene stealers and the Tyranids were already involved here. The Imperial fleet had survivors from an Imperial world. The gene stealers were most likely hiding amongst the survivors. That's possible, but wouldn't most of those survivors wouldn't they keep them on the ship since they're not military personnel? Because that makes sense. That makes way more sense. But like, I would not want civilians, like, they would sneak off. No, that's fair. That's a good point. That's a good point. everyone was in that flotilla. Eldar, Tau, Votan, everyone. Everyone? Are we sure about that? Because, like, why would the Imperials, like, tug everyone along? Unless some were prisoners. But that just feels like a weird thing, just to tote them. I don't know. That seems kind of odd to me. In any case. Oh, sorry. Oh, hi, Lord Master of Sotek. Oh man, I meant to send you a message. I've just been so busy. Yes, I am doing well, thank you. I'll send you a message. Everything ended up being, like, everything worked out. It just took me a while to get things resolved. So thank you. I'm so sorry I had to leave so abruptly and without any warning. So sorry about that. I'll send you a message. I've just been so, like, I've had so much going on as of late. So thank you for stopping by and saying hi. We're just hanging out. We were doing some movie night. It's good. So we were watching A Fan with Too Much Time. He has like Star Wars versus like Warhammer 40k universe. They're almost like audiobooks, like realistically, but he does have some art that goes with it. So it's just been kind of chill, very slow night, just kind of down to earth. Normally I paint during these streams, but it's been pretty I just decided I want to kind of relax, eat my dinner. Would Miss Frizzle be a rogue trader or a sanction psyker? Rogue trader. Rogue trader, that's an excellent question. That's a very good question. Yeah, she's a rogue trader. She's got kind of like a chaotic vibe, and not like chaotic in a bad way, but like in a good way. At least that's my opinion. Oh my goodness, I'm tired. What the heck? Mrs. Frizzle is a sororitas without a faith in the science of the Emperor? No, that feels forced. That feels forced. I feel she definitely gives me like more rogue trader than like worship the Emperor or even like science vibes. Like, yeah, she likes science, but like I don't think she's like that invested. She's more like learning in general. I just finished the devastation about audiobook. It was awesome. Highly recommend. Yeah, it's a really good book. It's a really good book. I definitely teared up when Dante got to see his father Sanguinius, and Sanguinius said, "Hello, son. Keep living, please." That was, oh my gosh. I definitely, at minimum, teared up. I might have cried. A little bit. I might have cried. We yawned at the same time. Don't do that again. Well, I can't help that. I don't know when you're gonna yawn. So I'm just gonna do whatever I feel like. Sanguinius said, "Get back to work." He didn't say it like that. He didn't say it like that. He was kind of nice about it, but it was sad. Because Dante is like, "I need a nap." And Sanguinius is like, no. No naps. So I feel bad. But it's okay. But it was really unnerving. I don't know what to tell you. Just, why don't you not yawn when I yawn, okay? Okay? Don't put restrictions on me. Get back into the material realm, Shinji. Yep. I mean Dante, not Shinji. What am I talking about? I did finish that. That series. I hadn't seen Evangelion. Did we watch? I just watch the one, or did I watch? I think I just watched the first series. I don't think I've seen the second series. I needed kind of a break from it. But right now, I'm so excited. Okay. We're going off the Warhammer track. I know, I normally talk about Warhammer, but we're going a little different today. I recently finished Gurren Lagann, which was it was good. I liked the first half more than the second half. It was funny because it was like a long time ago. I had like a friend at the time who wanted me to watch it, and I couldn't get past. Like, I watched the first episode. This was several years ago, and I was like, eh. And then, like, we started to watch the second one, and I was like, no, this is not doing it. I didn't realize at the time that a lot of animes had fan service. And I was kind of put off by Yoko. I was like, oh, this is so weird. What the heck? Why are they doing this? That's kind of gross. Now I understand why they do it. Doesn't mean I like it, but I understand it. And it was actually better than I thought it at the time. Yeah, this was several years ago when I first watched it. The first half of like the series was good. I thought the character development was nice. I thought like the plot points were good, but I feel like when you got into the second half, especially when they started like going into space, the power creep was insane, and it felt kind of forced in some sense. No, it's okay. Yeah, it's a good series. It's just I'll keep it kind of vague. The second half, like once they started kind of going out and fighting like the big bad, it was kind of like, oh, the power creep was a lot, and it was very much the same formula. I did like the transformations, but it became pretty predictable. Like when something becomes predictable, there's sometimes I like things that are predictable and I enjoy them, but like there was like guy action. How do I explain? No, it wasn't like Bleach. I did like it, but it was too repetitive, and it had more like guy vibes. It definitely appeals more, I think, to dudes than I think it would a girl. That's my take on it. I don't know if that's completely accurate, but there are definitely moments where I'm like, yeah, the person who wanted me to watch it was, okay, for context, for those of you, I've mentioned this before, I like to have a list of like the Primarchs, and I try to have people like in real life that I know that are like most similar to the Primarchs. This particular person is a friend who's like got a similar personality to Lehman Russ. That's the best way to describe this person. And after watching this anime, I definitely understand his personality and how he is as a person as a result. It's a show that lifts you up with a lot of dude bro energy. And I love the dude bro energy, especially in the first half. I was like, the dude bro energy is just like, it's beautiful. I love it. It's fantastic. So like my friend at the time was like, yes, he's I understand where he got all of his dude bro energy and like his general personality from. It lacked some serious dude bro energy towards the end, and it didn't feel very creative anymore. Yeah, it became too tropey. I agree, Cam. Because I wanted it to be really cool, and then it wasn't. Oh, hello. So, yeah, it was good. I definitely enjoyed the first half more. But, yeah. So, yes, oh my gosh, Steven. So, now I have started watching Apothecary Diaries. I watched the first episode, like, a few days ago, and I've been, like, dying to watch more of it. Because I'm so excited. It looks really good. I've heard really good things about it as well. So I'm watching that one next, and I can't wait. Imagine a household of 20 dudes. I can't imagine that. I am not a frat boy. I'm not a frat boy. But yeah, Apothecary Diaries. Yeah, honestly, the first episode was really good. I'm like, that's a solid pilot episode. It like sets you up for a lot of things. Like, you know who the love interest is. Honestly, okay, don't spoil. Please don't spoil. Me and my mods will like shoot you to the moon. But I have an immediate question about what is likely the love interest for this series. And you all know what it is. I think everyone had this question. And I don't know if I can say it. I don't know if I can say it because it's such like very niche. It's such a, you have to know. You have to know. No, I can say it this way. I can say it this way. Okay, I was like, the only way I was thinking of it was in a very crass manner. No, the question is he a eunuch? No, but don't tell me, okay? Don't tell me. My mod, you will at minimum get timed out. You will at minimum get timed out. So do not spoil, because I will time you out. I will personally do it. So that was my first question. I was like, wait a second, I need to know answers now. I have some theories. I don't think he is. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the anime, watch the first episode and you will have, I think, the same question. Have the same question. You really put that thought in your head. How's my day? Oh, it's good. Thank you, Pillar. We're just hanging out, talking about anime. I'm starting Apothecary Diaries, but I'm only like one episode in. Can't spoil what I don't know. Perfect. Perfect. Don't even mess with it. Don't even flirt the line. Because I will not hesitate. I will not hesitate. But yeah, that's my initial question. Have I ever watched Dragon Ball? No, I haven't. I've heard it's good, but I've also heard that it's like very formulaic. Like, from what I've heard, it is Goku is very strong, but then he meets someone who is stronger than him and then beats him up. And then there's a training montage and he gets stronger, and then he fights the guy again, and then he unlocks a super special power and he somehow defeats the big bad guy. And then it keeps going, and it's just that continuously. And then there's more like busted powers that occur, and then sometimes other people get busted powers, but mainly Goku, because Goku is Goku. And that's it. That's all I know. That's like the formula, and I'm like, that sounds nice, but I don't think I want to watch a whole series about that. The strongest character is whoever yells the loudest. Yes. Goku is Goku, correct. The original Goku is better than that? Okay, well that's nice. And Goku and... is it... Vegeta? They were not bros, and then enemy bros, and then bros. Have you watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Another one I want to watch. Specifically because of the Femstodes. ALJ, thank you for the super chat. Specifically because of the Femstodes is that I want to watch, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Which, by the way, actually, I don't know if they're still selling them right now, but they had Gamer Subs. Gamer Subs had JoJo cups. They might have been sold out because they were kind of cool cups, I won't lie. Let me look. Let's see. It probably sold out. It was like 2 weeks ago. Let me look it up. Couldn't get past the art style. That's completely fair. Yeah, so it looks like most of the shaker cups sold. No, all the shaker cups sold out. Holy cow! But you can still get their the fruit flavor, the stone fruit. I might get that. Actually, I should get that. Oh, I need to talk to my Gamer Sups rep because I need to tell them what flavors I want this month. Dungeon Meshi is so good. Oh my gosh, yeah. I had to eat dinner while watching that show because I was gonna get hungry. So that was always like the show I watched during dinner. That show is great because it's like so silly. They're like, oh, we're gonna go like through the dungeon and we're adventuring and then we're gonna eat a thing, and then suddenly it's like coping with the death of your sister and seeing like her gruesome remains as you have to like open up a dragon to find all of her individual bones. And I'm like it was whiplash over the course of like 3 episodes. And let me tell you, I don't know if I completely recovered from that. It was an insane amount of whiplash from like a very like silly show. And then it was like, oh. The second half does make the first half seem like they wasted a lot of time. Well, if you think about it, that dungeon is very complex and elaborate. And that dragon is definitely going to go down to lower levels so it can like get away from all the adventurers. So yes, they may have wasted some time, but like Fallon was dead as soon as like she was in like the dragon's stomach. There's no way she was surviving more than like 15 minutes in the stomach acid. So it's not like rushing would have done anything else. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is hilarious and exaggerated. You love it. Okay, ALJ, thank you. I need to watch it. I should take the time and like watch it. Yes, and I have seen Frieren. I love Frieren. No, I love Frieren. I love that show. She has some of the hardest lines. She has some of the like the hardest lines, and oh, I want to be Frieren when I grow up. You should really watch Frieren. It's one of my I think it's up there in terms of like my favorite animes. Yeah. It's so good. We all know what the best line is. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I don't want to spoil because that line goes so hard. When you like, I watched it, and when that line came out, I was like screaming. That's an exaggeration. It was just so good. I thought Frieren was gonna win Anime of the Year. I think Solo Leveling beat it though. I've heard about that, but I haven't seen it. Is that one good? I would hope it's at least decent. I would hope it's at least like decent if it beat Frieren. I think you like Yu Yu Hakusho? Is that how you say it? Forgive me, I do not know how to say things sometimes. Thank you, Dino Fan. What's it about? Solo Leveling is like overhyped. Ah, one of those. Excuse me. Ah, it was a rigged. Dang, that's unfortunate. I'm learning a lot. I just don't have a ton of time to watch like animes. Like the time I watch like an anime is like when I'm like eating dinner. So it's like I eat and then I watch one episode, maybe 2. My Happy Marriage. My Happy Marriage mentioned. I love My Happy Marriage. It's so stupid, but it's so dumb because like it's so like romance novel, and it's like, oh, are they in love? Like, do they like each other? And it's like, yes, they obviously will by the end of the story. But like, I love that. I love it. It's so cute. I love it. She's so wholesome. She's so wholesome, and he's so cold, but he loves her. It's definitely a romance anime. Oh. There's too many animes. There's 2 animes and not enough time to watch them all. Yeah. Chivalry of a Failed Knight is a good one. Okay. Man, I don't know how I'm gonna write all these down. Have you seen Spy X Family? That one is fantastic and wholesome. I've seen memes, and it looks so wholesome and cute, but I haven't watched it. I have watched. I didn't watch the Full Metal Alchemist movie, but I watched both Full Metal Alchemist. That one was so good. That one was so good. Oh my gosh, Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist. That's how that guy went every time. The art was nice too. Spy X Family is adorable. Okay. Okay, that's another one I've been wanting to see. All right, writing that one down for sure, because that's another one that like looks so cute. After Apothecary Diaries. After Apothecary Diaries. I will watch that next. Yeah, if you do have suggestions, I don't know where you should put it in the Discord, because sometimes things get lost, and I will forget to go back to it, so I don't know where the best place to put it is. I'm not sure. Have I heard of The Devil is a Part-Timer? No, I haven't. I wouldn't say I'm like new to anime. I've watched several. I'm no anime expert by any means. But I don't really like delve into too much media. Like, how do I just don't delve into a lot of media. But like, I'm not new to anime. Yeah, movies and shows channel is probably like the best part. But I can't guarantee I will like see all of them. Oh yeah, I watched like a little bit of Cowboy Bebop. I think I watched like 2 or 3 episodes. And I don't know why I stopped. I think life got busy, and then I stopped watching it, and then I opted for something else. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever pick up One Piece. It's... I think that's too much. Too many episodes to try to catch up on that. It's not worth it to me. Like, I'm all for good long stories. I love book series that have a healthy amount of books, but I think there's a point where it's too much. And to be fair, I do not know much of the premise of One Piece, but like, so it could be like really, really good, but I feel like at some point there's like you gotta wrap up a story. But who knows? I'm down to watching all. That's a big commitment. Look, it's probably easier getting a girlfriend than watching One Piece. It's probably easier maintaining a relationship than watching One Piece. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely easier. It's definitely easier to be in a relationship than to watch One Piece. Yeah, the reward doesn't meet the huge investment. You're much better off taking like a decent girl or guy, whoever, out to dinner. You're much better off. Wild statement, but not a lie. I mean, look, that's a commitment. That show is like a commitment. I just want the series under my belt. You just want the bragging rights? That's not enough. That's not enough for me. Dinner in this economy? But look, think of it this way. if you are paying for someone's dinner in this economy, you are showing them that you are, willing to go out of your way to, like, make them feel welcomed. It's all about first impressions. And I am of the opinion that, especially if you want someone's attention and you want to indicate that you find them special, that you like them, that you need to go out of your way. You don't have to go crazy out of your way. I'm not saying drop like $1 bazillion on them. I'm just saying first impressions matter. And if you take the time to show a little bit of effort and, do something that is like uncommonly kind or thoughtful, that means a lot to people. Especially, I think nowadays, a lot of people think like when the dating scene is like full of like cheapskates. And it's all about what can you... A lot of people... This isn't always true. But some people usually think, well, what can I get out of a relationship? And it's like, okay, what do you bring to the table? And you just gotta find someone who also thinks, hey, this is what I bring to the table. And like, just genuinely have interest in someone. So first impressions, I need to throw in like 8 guys to carry me around. Well, didn't you just say dinner in this economy? And now you want to pay 8 guys to carry you around on a throne? The math is not mathing, Shadow. I'm sorry. What do I bring to the table? Friendship. Let's see where this goes. See, yeah, you can even start with that. But I think a lot of people make this mistake. It's like, oh, well, I want someone who will cater to my needs. And it's not just about that. It's like, what can you do to enrich someone's life? And then not just money. It can be plenty of other things. So yeah. No, I have not seen... Oh gosh, I'm gonna butch it, Cam. I'm sorry. I've not seen that show either. Can you keep my little friend? Yeah, it's a skitter. You can't keep him, but there are a lot of them. Yeah, this is a skitter. Good skitter. Whew. There are many skitters and they have a plan? Yeah. Yeah, they do. Very cute skitter. I've always called that a Doro. Why is it a skitter? Oh, okay. Oh, context. So yes, you're right. This is a Doro. This is like originally a Doro. One of my mods commissioned like a friend of theirs for a Doro that looked like me. And I turned it into an emote for the server, and when I would end the stream, everyone would post the Doro, and they would say everyone like scatter, like leave, so it was like they were running away with the Doro. But then it like changed, and I don't know who started it, but instead of saying scatter, they started saying skitter, because skitter is an actual word. And so instead they said skitter, and then we just called them skitters after that. So this is a skitter, and not a Doro. So that's the lore. That's the lore. That's why it is a skitter and not a Doro. Yeah, it's really silly. It's kind of like server and just like the community lore. It just kind of happened. No one really planned it. It just happened. So yeah, there you go. So now I have other friends that we call them skitters now. To be honest, I had never heard about Doros until now. Same here. I didn't know about the Doro. I might have seen it once, but yeah. But now it's a skitter. Everyone post skitter in the chat. If you got a membership, post the skitter. Post the skitter. I want my feed filled with skitters, please. What's a Doro? Doros is short for Dorothy. That's like a character, and then she got turned into like this creature thing. Well, not the character, like someone just drew her like this. Look it up. Skitters. But yeah, there you go. There's the skitters. And then we had a competition, and I said, because everyone was designing their own skitters, so we had a competition, and this RGB one was my favorite. It reminds me of the star from Mario Kart, and it was my favorite one, so I picked it to win. There we go. Unfortunately, the YouTube chat box won't show the skitters, which makes me sad, but I can see them. I love and appreciate the skitters. Thank you, thank you. They're my favorite. They're so cute. They're so cute. I may be biased, but I have the best Doro, the best skitter, in my opinion. But I am biased, I know. Look at it. I assume you haven't played Mario Kart World yet? I did not get the Switch 2. I have a couple of reasons for that. A, that's a ton of money. Even if I wrote it off on my taxes, I cannot justify that. I would rather spend $500 on something else and not the Switch 2. On top of that, their terms of service is absolutely crazy. So I will not be doing that. It's just nuts. There's no way I'm agreeing to that. You don't own any games. You own the license to play games. It's not worth it. It looks very cool. I won't lie. I'm really tempted, but I'm not gonna do it. It's not worth it. I will go play it at a friend's house if they get it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to get it. It's just not worth it. Is the Mario Kart stream on Sunday? I resent that you said that, English name. We are actually gonna finish Dawn of War Winter Assault. We're gonna do it. I resent that. I resent that you even suggested it would be a Mario Kart stream. We're gonna finish it. Otherwise it's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life, and you guys won't stop like bugging me about it. Yes, I know. Yeah, Sib, it's not worth it. I know a lot of other people have got it, but have you been studying for Winter Assault? Not really. I haven't paid a lot of attention to it. Did any of you guys watch Quizcastus that Remlay's posted on his channel for 40k Theories? That was really fun. I was studying for that very, very specific lore quiz. It was hard, but I'm very proud of how well I did, considering I've only been like a Warhammer fan for like 2 years, and I haven't really read any like codexes. Like, I thought I did pretty well, all things considered, even though there were some admittedly embarrassing moments. I will not go beyond that. It's posted in the Discord if you want to see it, or I could probably pull the link from the Discord and post it here. There were some very embarrassing moments. Here, I'm gonna just post. Oh wait, no, copy link. I was gonna like post my whole Discord announcement. There you go. I think that should take you to the right spot. Yeah, it was, I had some embarrassing parts, so as long as you didn't get any Custodes lore wrong, then you're fine. What if I didn't answer a Custodes question? What about that? Is that okay? Is that acceptable? Is that acceptable? Do you accept that as an answer? But there were some embarrassing moments. I'll be straight up about that. Thank you, Untitled. I was happy too. I was like, all I wanted was like to hit that goal, and I did. And it's not too bad for my first go around. And like I said, I've only been like into Warhammer for like 2 years. So the fact that I did at least decent with like some lore buffs that have been around for like significantly longer, I was very pleased. I was so pleased. Yeah. Oh, JM Hammer, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thank you so much, dude. But yeah, that's you guys should go watch that. It was tough. It was a very tough quiz. So now I'm like want to read all these codexes so that I can like start collecting the knowledge. So codexes, they do have like model tabletop stuff, but they also have they have like lore bits in there. So there's like things and stories that are like named that you wouldn't really find anywhere else. So it's like, oh, this very specific thing from a guard codex, and it's like, how would you know that? Like, it's really niche, like very like obscure lore. That's like the huge, like the draw about Quizcastus. You were close to Pancreas in my opinion. Yeah, in some ways. I was hoping, I was counting as I was like going, and there was a point where I was like, man, as long as I'm within like 5 points of any of the others, like then that's like a really good place to be in. It didn't end up being like that, but I was still very pleased with like my progress, and if I get invited back to it again, which I would like to, I will be ready. I will study like a fiend, and I will be even stronger. I'm not paying GW $60 to read a 1-page story for an army I don't have. You know, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. There's just tons of lore that I just didn't know. But I knew enough. Yeah, I gotta get some old codexes on my hands. Okay, I think I've kind of run out of things to discuss, but tomorrow is going to be very exciting. We are watching Bricky's most recent Warhammer faction re-explained video. That is going to be great. I have not watched it. It came out on Monday, and I was like, of course it came out on a Monday, a day I don't normally stream. So I was like, I was debating. I was hoping that I could stream it tonight, but I was like, no, I want everyone to be involved, like as many people involved as possible in watching this. So yeah, so that's gonna be exciting. That's at 12 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, so that is going to be awesome. I can't wait, honestly. It's gonna be really good. Let's see that. So yeah, that's tomorrow, and it'll be fun, I think. But yeah, so that's kind of all I have. Yeah, get the notification for the stream on the Discord server. Notifications pop up when I go live, so definitely go check those out. But yeah, that's kind of all I got. We're not gonna raid into anyone tonight. We will just hang out. We'll just chill for now, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow, and then Sunday is Dawn of War Winter Assault. We have one more level for the Order side. I don't think I want to do the Chaos side. That just sounds like not fun. Sounds like negative fun. So, yes, raid into sleep. Go to bed, everyone. No, you don't need to go to bed. So, I will see you all later, and please make sure you don't skip leg day, okay? Don't skip the leg day. And I will see you later. Alright guys, I'll catch you later. Bye!